Thank you so much for being here for another day of learning some Rav Kook. And of course, besides helping us clarify ourselves and become closer to Hashem, and closer to Bnei Yisrael and closer to Eretz Yisrael, right? The idea of, I think, this particular shiur really is to give that koach, give that spiritual energy to the Jewish people right now, um, and to Eretz Yisrael, to Medinat Yisrael, to the state of Israel, so they can fight, they can win, and be strong at this difficult moment we are in and continue to be in. Without further ado, we'll continue on with our shiur, and we're on the fourth teaching from Sefer Orot. We have really been enjoying our learning so far, and it really has taught us about sort of the essential quality of Eretz Yisrael. And this teaching is similar in that it really does teach this the importance of Eretz Yisrael in our own lives, and as a Jew. So, teaching Dalet. אי אפשר לאדם מישראל שיהיה מסור ונאמן למחשבותיו, הגיונותיו. So he says it's impossible for a person to be connected. Masor means like tied down to or attached to, kind of the term we'd use now, grounded, in that regard, grounded to one's own thoughts and ideas. Not just grounded, but faithful to their ideas and the way in which their minds think. Rayonotav, vidimyonotav. It's impossible also for a person to be connected and faithful to his ideas and to what he imagines, meaning his visions of his life. Bechutz la'aretz, when he's outside of the land. Ketukunot hanemnut hazot be'eretz Yisrael. In the same way that the Jew can be faithful to his ideas and all of these different things when living in the land of Israel or when in the land of Israel. And so this is the general thesis of sort of this paragraph. He's going to explain it a little bit. But what he means here is that when we are living outside of Eretz Yisrael or unattached to Eretz Yisrael as Jews, we sort of we start to wither a little bit. We become untethered, ungrounded. We get involved in different ideas, and we become very disconnected from the source of and the root of our souls. Remember that Eretz Yisrael really plays the role of helping us connect to who we are as Jews, who we're supposed to be, and actually manifest that in the real world. This can be said similar to, imagine if you are thinking some really great ideas and have really great visions or great philosophies or a great plan of what to do with something, but you never actually do it, right? You never actually manifest it, right? You just think about it, right? What we would call that is an ungrounded idea, right? It's never made actually manifest. It's never actually made in the real world. And think about when we take an idea, something that's mentally in our head, and we try to apply it to the world around us, and we try to actually do it, right? Think about how that idea changes, how it becomes real, how it becomes more powerful, how we figure out the mistakes and the problems that we might have not thought of if it was just the idea just remained in our mind. So this is really, really important that when we actually manifest our ideas in the actual real physical world, right, we actually have a better sense of what those ideas are, and we're able to actually bring our full selves into that moment in a grounded and faithful way. It's the same way when the Jewish people don't have their own land, have their own nation, and specifically are not living or not connected to specifically the land of Israel, in that regard. So very, very important of what he's saying here. But I think one of the questions that I hope that this paragraph will solve for us also is, what about those Jews living outside of the land of Israel? Are we like hopeless until we make Aliyah, until we like move to Israel? And I think Rav Kook said no, right? He's going to offer us a pathway, I think, in this too. So I think we need to see that and look at that. But he's going to look at that a little bit later. He then says, Hofa'ot HaKodesh be'ezo madraga shehen, right? Holy appearances or holy phenomena, right? Experiencing holiness, and at whatever degree that we experience in them, nikioten be'eretz Yisrael lafia erech. right? Those holy experiences themselves are clean and pure in the land of Eretz Yisrael. Uvechutz l'Eretz more bavot hen besigim v'klipot merubaim. So he sort of adds another step here. It's not only that we're not able to manifest ourselves fully because we don't have a land or because it's not Eretz Yisrael or everything like this, and we're only able to think as Jews and not actually able to do as Jews. Although that's really real, and I think is what he's sort of talking about here. He really goes a step further and says it's not only that we're not grounded and not living on a land, but that there's also the influence of so many different ideas when you're outside the land of Israel, alien ideas to the Jewish spirit. And so I think there's one that when you're living in a Jewish community, when you're building a Jewish country, you can really build a Jewish country, right, based on Jewish ideas, and you're not going to have to mix it with everything else, right, and make compromises in that way because it's Jewish, and that's the idea from the beginning. But I think in some ways, a deeper mindset of this is when we're ungrounded and we don't have, we're not able to govern ourselves, we're not able to rule in which the way and live in which the way we want to live as a community. We kind of make all kinds of exigencies, right? We make plans that are not ideal. We do things that aren't ideal because we have to deal with the authority of that country who has very different ideas than us. And so therefore we live in a very different way because we're reacting. We're not being proactive. We're reacting to the governing authority and the culture of the place. And because of that, our Judaism very much changes. Our values are seen as in a prism to the major values of the civilization that you live in, right? If you live in a Jewish community, if you live in Israel, right, and in this land that's run by the Jewish people, by Israel, right, you don't have to make those compromises, right? You can live fully as a Jew and in a proactive and not a reactive way, as in a Jewish society. So I think that's what he's saying of some of these impure sources here. It's not that, somehow non-Jews, it's God forbid we're around any non-Jewish ideas and everything like this. That's maybe he's saying that a little bit, right? That Jews have a unique way of thinking. But I think more than that, he's saying that we end up just being reactive and defensive instead of being proactive and living the ways in which we want to. It's what freedom truly is about, to live our lives and determine the course of what they may look like. So very, very important. And again, I think for us Jews living in Galut, living in exile here, we should try to make our spaces like this and understand that our values will be different and create sanctuaries for Jewish ideas and Jewish community and Jewish life. He continues on from here, and he says, Emnam, however, and this is the big however that I was talking about. I think it's really important for us. Lefi goda lachuka v'kashur shel adam la'eretz Yisrael, according to the greatness of a person's longing, desire, and connection to Eretz Yisrael, according to the degree in which one's connected to Eretz Yisrael. And I think it's really important to note, not necessarily living in Eretz Yisrael, but connected in Israel, to yearn for Eretz Yisrael. Hare rayonotav mizdakachim yesod avira de Eretz Yisrael. Right, his ideas, the person's ideas will become purified from the foundation of the very air, the very environment of the land of Israel, which constantly a chofef al kol misha mitzapeh lerota, right? That's like sort of flutters over everyone who desires and hopes to see it, right? So this is really important, this idea here, because I think you can read these texts and say, okay, well, I'm hopeless if I don't live in Eretz Israel. And there's definitely a way to read these texts like that. That's not the way I'm reading these texts. I'm saying as a Jew who's living in Galut, who's living in exile, who's not living in the land of Israel, what we can do to purify ourselves in a similar way and tap into this energy to ground ourselves and make ourselves less reactive is to be connected to Eretz Israel, is to connect ourselves, to read Israeli news, is to have Israeli friends, is to read Israeli books. It's to tap and most of all to long to be in Eretz Israel eventually, to visit Eretz Israel, to walk the land, to breathe the air, and to have that in our lives, to be thinking about Eretz Israel in our lives, to be connected to it. The more we're connected to it, the more the traits and the characteristics of Eretz Israel that God gave to this wonderful promised land and this wonderful country of the Jewish people, the more we'll be able to connect and be more proactive in our ideas as Jews instead of reactive, the more we'll be able to have the confidence and the fullness of spirit to actually manifest our communities in the real world, not just live in a world of just ideas, right? But actually manifest them, to actually do something with them, to actually do justice, to do good, to make a better world, to make a full world. And it reminds us that we should actually, and it's up to us to reveal ourselves, to make ourselves, to manifest ourselves in this world according to God's vision. And I think this really gives a pathway, a spiritual pathway to us non-Jews, that we really should work on and inculcate within ourselves a longing for Eretz Yisrael, right? And tap into this every day, all the time, right? I wish I could be in Eretz Yisrael, or oh, I wish I could talk to my Israeli friends, or I wish I could speak Hebrew. I wish I could read, Israeli books, and I wish I could feel how I feel in Eretz Yisrael, to remember that feeling you felt if you've been to Eretz Yisrael, to remember that, to look at the pictures from that, to connect to that, to read, all of these things help us connect to Eretz Yisrael and make it part of who we are, and that allows us to be more grounded as Jews, more faithful to our own ideas and our own identities, and to actually have the freedom and feel the freedom to be who we are in this world in a fearless way. And he ends this teaching by saying, and quoting a beautiful verse from Yeshayahu, Simchu et Yerushalayim vegilu ba kol ohaveha. Right, so this is from Isaiah 66:10. And the line means, joyous is Jerusalem. There, and Gilu, be happy, ba kol ohaveha, all those who love her. So I think the way Rav Kook is sort of reading this verse as a proof text for his idea here is the first line says Simchat Yisraelim. So people who live in Jerusalem, or people in Jerusalem, should be happy, right? Why? Because they live in Jerusalem, right? They live in Israel. They have the Avira de Eretz Yisrael, as Rav Kook calls it, the air of Eretz Yisrael. They're able to have the groundedness that Eretz Yisrael gives us in that way, and the clarity. But the pasuk doesn't stop there, and it also says Gilu ba kol ohaveha, right? Also, joyous are those all who love her, right? So, at least the way I think Rav Kook is reading this, according to his ideas there, it's not only about living in Eretz Yisrael, it's also about, we get a similar feeling and a similar clarity and groundedness when we love her, when we love Eretz Yisrael. So out of love of Eretz Yisrael, we're able to, and a longing for the land in that way, we're able to, not forgetting about it, as Yehuda Halevi famously said, then we're able to have the same clarity as if we actually lived in the land of Israel, which I think gives us a lot of hope and really gives us a duty, an extra duty, really, when we live outside the land of Israel, to really do the work to connect to Eretz Israel in every single way possible. And in doing so, we're able to manifest ourselves as Jews, manifest Jewish ideas in our life, and be who we truly are. Thank you, everybody. I really hope you enjoyed this today, and continue coming back. And obviously, if you have any questions, you can always email me at rabbimarcusrubenstein@templeofaaron.org. I really enjoy learning with you. Am Yisrael Chai, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.